Money Monday, and it is Tuesday. Oh no, it's Monday. It is Monday, April 15th. It is tax
All
day.
day.
The tax is in all day long. So great. If you could put your contact information in the chat, let us know how to reach you and where you're selling. That's really great to pass referrals back and forth. Topic for today is having a successful open house, kind of making sure that you know how to properly market the open house before the day of the open house. And then at the morning of the open house, right? Because most of the time, if you throw up a sign an hour before, you're not going to get a lot of traffic. So there are some ways that you can kind of tilt the odds in your favor by doing a few things ahead of time. So I have an open house playbook I wanted to share with you. And before I do that, I figured it would be smart to ask those of you who have done open houses what you've done that was successful before we get rolling here. So if anybody wants to share, thank you, Joseph, for putting your contact in the chat. That's awesome. Thanks, you guys. Oh, yes. Fantastic. Keep going. You all know how to find me, so I'm not putting mine in the chat, but please do so that other agents can pass referrals back and forth to you all. That's very helpful. Also, Brad Turpin is here from Encompass Lending. He always joins us. Thank you, Brad, for being here.
Absolutely. Wouldn't miss it.
He is a really, really good resource. I highly recommend you have a conversation with Brad if you haven't already, because their company does a lot for us and for our clients. Okay, so anybody want to share on open houses? Give me a breakdown of what you're doing to promote your open houses pre open house date and then day of. How do you set up your open houses? Anybody want to share?
Wow, nobody's sharing.
It's going to be a me and Joseph day again, I think.
I'm trying not to dominate.
Hey, Jeff, I'm going to throw you under the bus here. Jeff Kwong is a successful agent here at Fathom, and I know he's had some good open houses. He's done some out of the box things, and I've been there when he's done some of those things. So, Jeff, can you share a little bit?
I think it really depends on the home you're hosting, right? There's different type, a nicer home you can do a little more for. I just had open house this last weekend. It was more of a vacant home that wasn't updated, so I couldn't do what I would like to do. Where in the prior open house and a nicer listing that had owner furniture there. It was still owner occupied, but looked like it was staged because it was so nice. But I think one nice touch I made during the open house when preparing for the open house was I had set up, there's certain features of this home that are kind of unique, right? So I kind of highlighted those unique features by putting flyers and stuff in those areas of the home. So when people go to the open house, they'll see these things. Oh, check this out. This is kind of cool. Like these blow cabinets or this extra light, whatever it may be. So that's something I kind of did in that listing. Other than that, I don't have too much in terms of share, in terms of open house. I haven't had that many transactions. I may be successful in the part-time sense, you can say, but Krista gives me a lot of credit for that. But I think really just being there and then, social media marketing, I think is important, making sure it's there on your public pages, and of course in MLS. But I don't have too much to share.
Yeah, I remember when Jeff had one of his first listings. I went out to Natomas and he did a Facebook Live during the open house as well. So there
Yeah.
are ways that you can, that's good for you for that listing, but it's also good for you for talking to potential sellers. Like, here's some things that I do that maybe other agents aren't doing that will get more traction for your listing, right? So if you can tell people, hey, I'm going to be on Facebook Live. I've got an open house today. I'll be sharing at the open house, swing by, whatever. That is helpful. That's just one more way that you can tilt the odds in your favor of getting some foot traffic, right? Anybody else want to share?
I'd like to make a comment though. I was on the.
You're in outer space. Do you want to move your camera so we can see you?
What do you mean? Where did I go?
Off to the side.
Where did I go? How did
He's gone.
I'm gone. I'm out of this world. Let me see. Whoops, there we go. Let me see. Let's zoom around.
All right.
There we go. How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, there you are.
Okay. So one of the things is I was on the sign task force. Would you guys like to pay a registration fee for each and every sign that you put on open house?
No.
They were going to do that. And I was on the sign task force for California. And every sign was supposed to be registered and you pay a fee for each thing in there. So one of the things is that I'm an advocate for placing our sign correctly. I could not find a city in the state of California that allows it in the median strips.
Right.
That's one thing that we should never do, is put a house in the median, open house sign in the median strip. The other thing too is, did you know majority of the signs are placed wrong? The idea that the cities want is that you should have enough turn time to change lanes and make that turn. Everyone puts it on the corner, but if you look at the majority of the sign ordinances, it's 15 feet from the curb return. But yet we throw them on and my biggest pet peeve is put them in the handicap crosswalk, so someone who's handicapped can't get around and they have to drive in the street. So we fought it. We don't have a fee for it. We don't have to register it. We don't have to do anything, but look up the sign ordinance and see where it is. And a lot of times I put mine away from everyone else's, and I get questions like, "Why is yours back further?" I go, "Because mine's placed legally, and you want someone working legally." And they go, "What do you mean?" And
Yeah.
then it starts a whole conversation how I pay attention to local laws and stuff, and I'm not just a salesperson. And it's actually got me a few, contracts, because I am standing different than everyone else. So look at the sign ordinances. The one I can tell you that we could not find is that no one is allowing it in the median strip. One, it's dangerous for someone to walk into the median strip. Second of all, is if you're in that left turn lane, you're already making left turn.
Visibility issue. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's directional purposes only. Some cities or counties, depends where you are, have generic ones only. Some only allow a certain amount on a corner. It was a mess when we first started. So
Which
Yeah.
on that point too, the best thing to do is put them out first thing in the morning for a
nope,
couple reasons. One,
nope.
at
Wait,
least your
wait, Brad.
signs out
Wait,
there.
wait. You
Okay,
can only have them during open house. Do not put them up all day when there's not an open house.
Oh, if there's not an open house, for sure. But if there is one, yes, you
Yeah.
can.
Right, but the thing is who puts them out at 9 in the morning and have an open house at 1 o'clock?
Oh yeah, you
Big
should.
no, big no.
It's a yes, actually.
It's a yes. That's what I've always known.
No, the sign
See,
on,
this is good dialogue.
Yeah.
yeah, no,
I agree
seriously.
with Joseph.
It's if you read the sign ordinances, the 30 minutes before and after, because you should have an open house. And the biggest pet peeve is the ones who have midnight open houses when they leave them out overnight.
Oh,
That
yeah.
I agree with, 100%.
Yes. And
Yeah.
if in our city, in this area here, in our city, if you leave your sign up overnight, they can be picked up and tossed out.
Yeah.
So you have
But
to be careful. You've got to read your ordinances for the area, but I do put them up a few hours ahead. And you do want to leave flyers out at that point. But when you have your open house, you pull the flyers out of the flyer box, right? Because you want
right,
them
right.
to know.
But
But
if you do put
them,
them out, be prepared for people knock on the door.
yep.
Because the idea is that down here there's a big argument, same thing what we're having here. Everyone has an open house, 1 to 5, 12 to 2, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has different times.
Yeah.
I have my open houses at 10, 11 o'clock.
Yeah, and there's also sign writers that you can put on your listing. That's the other thing that I like to do.
Mhm.
It'll say open Saturday, Sunday, or open Saturday, open Sunday, and it'll have the hours.
The hours
that it's
posted. Yep.
open.
Right.
It's
It's huge.
posted, so it's not a surprise. But you should, for a couple of reasons, and I'm sure this is where Brad was going, is you get it up early in the day, people are like, oh, there's gonna be open house in my neighborhood later, I'll stop by. But if you do it 30 minutes ahead, they're already home sitting in their house. They have no idea there's no
Right. But the thing is that if you put it at 9 o'clock and I show up at 9:30, your client's not happy with me. I've
Oh,
had,
yeah, well,
but you have an open house sign.
yeah, I
This
have
is
an
something we
open
fought.
sign, but it does, yeah, and even on my.
Well, that's being prepared too. That's having the sign writer with the posted
Yeah,
times
if you
also.
if you put it on the time on the sign, it's not the open house sign at the property, but
No,
on the
lighter.
rider on, because
Yep.
I'll put the rider on the A-frame that's out in the corner,
Yep.
Mhm.
which is because like I said, a lot of the laws state 30 minutes before and after, especially here. It says 30 minutes before open house and a half hour open house, you're allowed to have an open house sign.
Yeah,
And some cities also only allow like 8. So a lot of them, majority of them only allow it on weekends. The reason why they don't go after it, because we don't have the resources.
yeah,
The city doesn't have the resources, but it's just like, you do want to look it up, and you do want to be legal. It's a great opportunity to, be that different one.
Yeah, so this is really good discussion, as
Yeah.
Brad was saying.
And a guy who
But
spent a lot of time because we were going to have to pay for each sign and get a permit for each sign and attach the permit to each sign and sign for the front yard.
yeah, you have to be sure that you don't put them anywhere where there is pedestrian traffic. First of all, don't put them in the middle of the dip or on the corner. They have to be in the like turf, right? No obstruction of any pedestrians. You need to put the sign with the time, and even on my open house directionals at the bottom, there's a white section, and you can put in there. I usually put my phone number and the time, right? So
Yep.
that is super helpful. If you're using the ones from Home Depot, that's just a directional that says open house, then you're going to need a Sharpie. You're going to need a Sharpie to put your name and your DRE license number on that sucker, and you probably should put some time on there as well. But it is really helpful. And there are some agents who do what they call mega open houses, where they do a minimum of 30 signs. They do one, two, three, approaching an intersection, right? Like a lot
Mhm.
of big traffic. So there's a couple of ways that you can increase your traffic. One of them is by getting a house that is near a large intersection, near some commerce, because that's where you're going to see a lot of traffic on the weekend anyway. If you're tucked in a neighborhood and it's gated, you're not going to get a lot of traction. There's not going to be a lot of traffic that way. So you have to think about location is super, super key. And then the condition of the property is another reason why people will show up. You need to market it accordingly. Like Jeff was saying, if it was a fixer,
Yeah.
a home with potential for people to enter the market, then that's how you market it. And that's how your Facebook ad should probably read, and that type of thing. If it's a custom home with a lot of upgrades and amenities, I think what Jeff is talking about as far as putting little
Mhm.
signs in each room, like, hey, here's some things to look at that have been added, is a really nice touch. And I've seen that a lot of times recently. So that's trending where we are. Um, I have like I said, I have a little sheet for you, but I'd rather not read that to you because I'm going to send it to you anyway. The
Uh,
idea is you need to schedule your open house at least a week out, and it doesn't matter. This was a question that Massa had this morning. If you're only going for houses that are newly listed, you're probably going to have more pushback from an agent on opening that house. If it's vacant, those are usually really easy to show and
mhm.
easy to have open house Thursday, Friday, Saturday, anytime, really. Um, but even if they've been on the market 30 days or longer, that doesn't mean it's not a good house. Like I said, location is hugely important. That's more important than the days on market. So it would be a good idea to preview the property before you ask to show it, so you can kind of get an
Yeah.
idea
Especially
what
as
you're
a smell
paying
you don't
for.
like.
Yeah, maybe you don't want to hold it open. Maybe the house next door is a crack house, and you're like, nope, not doing it. Like, I don't know, right? But it would be good for you to know before you contact the agent. Go preview the properties and then make your decision. But try to get at least 4 or 5 days of lead time, because that gives you the ability to market to the neighborhood. It gives you time to create some flyers. It gives you time to drop something off to the neighbors. If you're doing a promo, like something small, like, hey, I've got dinner and a movie for someone who comes to the open house. If you bring a friend, we'll give you a second entry or whatever, or anything like that. There's ways for you to make it, a call to action where they're going to want to come and meet you. Brad, do you want to share any other tips? And then Reza has a hand raised, so
Mhm.
go that direction.
Hi, I actually have a question.
Okay.
So when like, can we just start shooting a video from somebody's house and post that on our social media? That's my question.
Okay, well, let's qualify what you mean. It's a listed house, right?
It's a listed house. I make an appointment. It's either vacant or not vacant. I go there all by myself and I
Yep.
shoot a video and I post that on my Instagram.
Usually, yes, but you should let the agent know, hey, I'm gonna be marketing your property on social media. Is that okay? Just give them a heads up.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
You might even want to tag that agent when it goes up,
I
just
see.
so that they get recognition, because it's their listing, right?
Right.
But they're usually not going to tell you no. You can even do Craigslist ads for open houses of other people's listings, as long as you say, here's the MLS number, listed by brokerage, la, 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 la. I'm holding it open. Come see me. I've got this and this for you if you come by. So
Encanto, Beverly.
yeah, hang on a second. Give me a moment.
Gotta mute that one.
I'm working on it.
Or just make me co-host. I'll take care of things like that for you.
All good. Okay. So Brad, you had something.
Oh, one other thing I want to add to yours. Also, if you have Facebook, create an event and invite people. It shows that on there.
Yep. The one I would add is also make sure to update the listing, because then you got the other apps like Realtor.com and so forth that are all pulling the MLS data for the open house. And if you don't update your listing as such, you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunity that way as well.
Yep.
Yeah, and you can ask the agent, if it's not your listing, you can ask the agent to post it in there.
Yeah.
You won't have
But that's a huge one that I think a lot of people forget to do.
Yeah, because that's a huge one, because you're right. It pops open and says open houses today, blah, 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 and there's a little thing.
Yep.
Okay, here we go. All right. Any other tips that I've missed? Let's see.
I got a whole bunch more.
Circle
I was gonna
around.
say something to add on to what Joseph was saying about the laws and staying above board. I think Len, Krista, you were saying follow the ordinances of where you're going to be hosting, because different cities and different counties do have different rules. And my last open house was in Roseville, city of Roseville, so there's a lot about that clear vision triangle. You can't put anything in that triangle near the pedestrian crosswalk. Nothing in the public right of way. That's therefore no sidewalks, no medians, no public property. So you just got to think about the information, talk to the neighbors, put a sign near there on their property, put in, the commercial property if they're okay with it, stuff like that. Just make sure you check, make sure you're above board.
Yeah, and it's not a bad idea to walk the neighborhood and invite the neighbors. Hey, I've got this open house next week. I don't know if you've had a chance to see it. Come on by. I'm having blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and the sign shouldn't be over 3 feet. The other thing too is do not tie balloons to it. There was this balloon out there and someone was driving in and the balloon blew into traffic, still attached. And the driver thought it was a head or somebody didn't know, swerved to miss the person, come to find out it was a balloon and caused an accident. So yeah, don't attach to it. Another little tip for you guys is if you put it on someone's property, I usually go to the front door and I'll talk to them and go, is it okay if I put, my sign out here, for the day? And believe it or not, they love that. And then what I used to do, and I changed it a little bit. I used to give a $5 Starbucks. Now I just do like a Amazon card or something like for $5. I come back with a thank you note, and I either mail it to them or I hand deliver it and talk to them and says, I'd like to say thank you for doing this. And if you do enough open houses, they'll call you back for the open house because you're the only one who had courtesy. But that one little thing in there, I do it I have blank posts, blank note cards, and I just write in there and says, hey, I really do appreciate you having in there. Thank you for your time. And I enclosed as a little gift for your appreciation. And I put a couple of my business cards in there. They will tell their friends what that realtor did versus everyone else. And I've gotten one or two just because of that. And so if you think about how much we spend on marketing, $5 is not that much. You can do even $10, depends on what it is. But I used to do like $5 Starbucks, but in my area, a lot of people just don't drink coffee. They prefer tea. And I'm like, I just collect. I'll go online and, order a bunch of when I was doing open houses, order a bunch of $5 gift cards that says thank you on it, or $10 gift cards.
Yeah, that's a really, really good tip, because the more you can make a name for yourself, differentiate yourself, the better you're going to, compare against other agents who come up in the neighborhood.
You're just creating more interaction, and the more interaction you're having with people, the more opportunities you're going to have to get more business.
The other thing too is with open houses. I mean, remember what the purpose of the open house is really for us to try to get more business. And if we're trying to get more business, so why should someone stop by there other than see the house? But if it's out of the price range, how do we get other people to stop by there? So ask yourself that, how am I going to bring someone in the house who's just driving by, or is just thinking about it? And sometimes doing a drawing By the way, flag code during February, they might still have them on sale. You get really nice flags. I think they're about 34 cents each. They sell for $4 or $5 over at Michael's. And during the summertime, around 4th of July, Flag Day, Veterans Day, all that. If I'm doing an open house near there, I go, come get your free flag, just for stopping by. And people actually stop by just to get one. And they'll walk in and you have a chance, they'll sign the registry, they'll do anything, and you have a nice conversation. So think about what reason would I come in there or come see the house again? Think outside the box.
I like to do like a choose your neighbor. I talk to neighbors that are there. I'm like, hey, who do you know that might want to move to your neighborhood? Help us choose your next neighbor, kind of deal. Okay, I appreciate the conversation. We have just a couple minutes. Does anyone else have anything they want to share about open houses, ordinances, best practices, anything like that?
I think one other topic is, engaging with people as they come in, asking questions. What'd you think of the home? To get them talking rather than just, feel free to walk around and let me know if you have questions, like
Okay,
most
yeah.
people do. Because you need engagement. Otherwise, people are just going to climb up and put up a barrier and walk in and walk out, and you'll get zero from them.
Scary. Yeah, that was what I want to ask is, what do you guys hand out when somebody comes through the door? What are you giving them? Anything? What's the engagement when they walk through the door? You guys
The
want
scavenger hunt.
What? Share.
You haven't heard about my scavenger hunt?
No. Golden
Oh
nugget.
my goodness. You should see my next step that I'm working on. It involves the NFC. Do you guys know what scavenger hunt is? I have goodies. Sometimes if I have time, it's a really nice house and it's in there. You create a little scavenger hunt. You ask questions. Basically, they go in every room finding something, and on a little tag or something, they find it and write the number, and they come back and they get a goodie, get a prize.
Awesome.
But it's a great way to start talking to them, because when you're open up and says, hey, would you like to participate in a scavenger hunt? I'm like, what? Yeah, I thought this would be a great way to tell you the future of the house. And now you have a conversation and let the cards talk about the future of the house. And when they come back and give it to you, you're kind of like, glossing it over and asking them questions. Well, what'd you think of the house and stuff? Because they're going to wait there and they're going to come back to you as you're putting it in and grabbing their special prize.
Yeah. I always ask them, did the house check all the boxes for you? And that is a really good way to find out if this is the house for them, or if they're still looking, like, why did they show up? And, is it in the running at all, or where are they in their process? They'll kind of tell you, like, oh, well, this is our first weekend, or we just started looking, or whatever. It kind of just gets them to open it up. But yeah, if it checks all the boxes, that's fantastic. If it doesn't, okay, well, what is it that you're looking for that this house didn't have? Great. Can I send you a list of houses that have those things? But there's a lot of ways you can start a conversation. What did you think of the house on a scale of 1 to 5? What did you think of the price point? What did you think of the condition? Do you guys ever do the broker tours? Have you ever done that?
Do them all the time.
Yeah, they have a little sheet, right? A little score sheet, and they'll give you a ranking. So what this is the broker tour is when you go to the marketing meeting for your local board, and you can what's called pitch the listing, right? So when you have a new house coming on the market, you go to the local board and you go to the marketing meeting, and they'll have the structure is a lender update, some sort of third party title company, pest guy, whatever, and then they pitch listings. So everybody who's got a home on tour gets 30 seconds or so to pitch the house and tell them what's so great about it. All of that, and then everyone goes to all the houses on tour. And when they get there, they have these little sheets, and it says, what's the condition, 1 through 5, exterior, yard, kitchen, primary, any other features that are special features, what should it sell for, which is really, really helpful, because some of them know the market really well, and some of them have no idea, and they'll say, well, what'd you list it for? Like, that is not the person you want to ask. If it's priced right. But the buyers have their own opinion too. Like, oh, I like this and this, but I thought this was, needed some attention or whatever. It's another way just for you to kind of show your sellers, okay, here's feedback. And then you can adjust accordingly for the next week when you're marketing.
How many work with buyers? Nobody here works with buyers. So one of the things I do too is, and this works great for open house. How many have a list and market the buyers like a seller? Like this is what I have. A lot of times when I open house, I'll have description what each one of my buyers is looking for. So when someone comes in, a lot of times they're looking to sell their house to move into another house. And I pull out the clipboard and goes, well, I got a buyer looking, and I categorize them with house, condo, rooms and bedrooms and square footage and price and stuff. I got someone who's looking for, and I have a list of my buyers and what they're looking for. No one has that. No one's even thinking about, So if you're interested in selling your home, I have a buyer that's looking for the 3-bedroom, 2-bath that's similar to this. Are you interested? Especially when the neighbor comes in, it's like,
Yeah.
here's other buyers I have that are looking in this area or looking for different areas. Start the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. The more you can make it about them, the better off your conversation is going to go. So, yeah, the comments, and then that's interesting. Tell me more. What can you share more about that? Like any of those things that just says keep talking. Right. And then, maybe the open house is busy and you're like, I'd love to set up a 10-minute conversation or, quick call or whatever, follow-up call. What's a good time? Kind of thing. I always ask them to sign in. And those of you who haven't done this before, when you do an open house, I always put the first 2 as just kind of fake phone number, email address, a lot of different pens, different script. Like I try to make it so that they can see this is what's expected, right? Everybody who comes through is going to give me their full name, their email, their phone number. Are you working with an agent? Would you like a list of homes? Da, 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 right? Homes with pools, whatever I'm going to want to ask about. And then I always ask them, okay, is this right? I think it says this. Is that accurate? Like, call them out on it. Because if it's like scribble at Gmail, you're like, you know what? I think, could you tell me what that is again? Because I can't read that one. I think it's this letter. Just make sure that you kind of just confirm that at the end. Like, I just want to make sure that I can get this out to you. Raising your hand is still raised. Let me see if I can.
Yes, one more quick question, Krista. So what if like a kid, like a 3, 4 years old kid wanna walk into the open house just by themselves? That's my first question. And what if like a homeless person wanna walk into your open house? What should you do in that situation?
Okay, tell me the first one you get. You said a child walks in by themselves?
Yes.
Then you send the child back out.
Okay,
Like,
yeah.
that is not you're not daycare. Like, they need to go.
Oh man,
Oh
shucks.
no.
Can I send my
Not-
kids over there?
Right.
Go find your mommy, come back. The
Yeah,
second one, I've
exactly.
I think
never
those
done
do
that.
happen though with neighborhood kids sometimes. I think
Yep.
it's
but
depending on the
just-
neighborhood, depending on the family quantity, in that neighborhood
Yeah.
Yep,
will
go
depend
back.
on whether that
Go
happens
do
more
that.
frequently or not.
Yeah, I've never had a homeless person come in an open house, so I really couldn't speak to that. Does anybody else want to take a swing at that one?
Typically, they shy away from it, or they might look homeless. Talk to them.
Okay.
Oh, the other thing too is one of the things I've done is I'll have events or something happening at the open house. This depends on the area and the home. If the home is great for families and I want families to show up, I got friends that are in the entertainment business and they'll come and do balloon twistings there. And what happens is the kids are standing there waiting for the balloons to be created. And mom and dad are looking around, and a lot of times my favorite thing is, wow, this is the only house we got to look at. Because it's the only house the kids are not complaining at. It's because I'm keeping the kids busy. Especially if it's a family-friendly type home in a neighborhood. Bring in something to keep the kids busy or occupied while you can talk to the parents. Because if you're trying to have a conversation, I want to go. It's
Yeah.
12:30. I go on for hours.
I don't think that's ever happened to you, Joseph. From what
Really? No.
Yeah. So I have a lot of little carnival games, and you can get them on Amazon for like, $15 or less. Little ring toss, super easy. I've got a prize wheel that's a tabletop prize wheel, and all kinds of stuff. You can do all kinds of things that'll keep those kids busy. I try to stay away from food because food, then that's just a cleanup I have to do later, right? Like nobody wants
And then we're worried about allergies and all
Yeah, You never want to feed them anything. Like I can do water bottles, and I've seen agents who wrap the water bottles with their own sticker that has their contact information on it, or they attach a little tag. But games are super easy.
Dollar store.
Yeah.
Go to the dollar store.
Yeah, you can do a lot of very simple things. You could even, if you got really creative, this is just off the top of my head, but you could take a thing of chalk, like sidewalk chalk, and go put some hopscotch on the driveway. Pick something. You can draw a little start here, end here on the driveway.
Yeah, but
There's
be
ways to
sure that if you're doing things like this, that it's
ask the owner, obviously.
no, that it's a friendly type house. If it's just a certain area where, like, most of the neighbors are single, and it's not the right neighborhood, and the house isn't structured for that. Yeah.
I would say I hesitate on that only because then you're getting into steering. But if it's a 3-bedroom or more,
Oh,
I
yeah,
would
yeah.
assume that it's going to be multiple occupants.
No, I just wouldn't put hopscotch in the driveway, is what I'm saying.
But that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Depends on the house, right? Like
Right.
if you're expecting children, you can put it in the backyard or whatever.
Yeah. And if the house has a bunch of the kids' toys there, oh man. I always ask them, please have their kids put the toys away. Because they will be played with.
Oh, I've never seen a kid pick up anyone else's toys at an open house.
I have.
Yeah, maybe. But
I mean, I
anyway,
picked it up and played with it. No, just kidding.
I was gonna say, did you get out their Legos and build something?
I've done that. I've done that with the kid. So,
All right, you guys. So I hope this was a helpful discussion. I hope that it kind of gets the juices flowing. This is just a leaping off point. It's not the end of the discussion for sure. But I'll send out the PDF that I have for you on the playbook of open houses. And you know where to reach me if you need anything. Joseph.
or if you want to reach me too, you can reach me too as well.
Any of that. And then hopefully your contact information's in the chat. Y'all can chat offline as well.
Yep.
So hope you have a good week. I hope that's helpful. And go start looking for some open houses. Like I said, you really want to preview them first. Make sure it's a neighborhood, an area you want to be at for the weekend before you call the agent. And then go out and market. So, all right. Have a great week. Thank you so much for jumping on.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you guys.
Thank
Bye.
you. Have a good one, guys.